you. Now, that says it all. I can sit down because how could I lose with Herb Washington, Marshall Dill, Elliot Tabor, and Judy Brown? When you got talent like that, you can't lose. I am so very proud. One, I'm very, very proud to be up here with people in this stage. I have watched most of those people come along. I watched Ron Mason, his amazing record over there at the hockey rink, and watched Percy and Lorenzo. They just slap hands and say, Lo, all you got to do is get 2 touchdowns. I ain't going to let nobody score. And Percy usually didn't. And George just tell him, send everybody Percy's way. And the rest is history. Now, I am real blessed, though. Seriously, first, I guess I want to thank God for putting me in this position, to be in the position that I'm in. Because when I was a freshman at Eastern Michigan, the dean of men called me in, and as they said, I'm from Ecorse, and he said, Jim, he said, you're a small, young, little boy from a little town that can do big things, but you got to get those books. And I had got a D in Latin, and that convinced me that I was not going to be a doctor. And if that wasn't enough, I had to sit up all night in order to get a D in organic chemistry. See, so I decided that maybe I ought to go into physical education. I've just been blessed all the way around, and first thing I say, I'll start. 1967 was a glory year for me. My girls' relay team, and is represented today by Karen Dennis, who anchored that relay team, they won a couple of national championships for me that year in the relay. And Karen, we beat Tennessee State with ties on the end of it. So that speaks for how dynamite Karen was, and the other 3 girls also. And then, based on that, they picked me as girls' Pan American coach. And I went over there with Tyson Company, and we won 8 out of 11 gold medals over there. And come to find out, the young lady, swimming lady on this stage was on that 1967 Pan American swimming team. And we didn't know one another. Then we lucky enough, my boys at Ecorse High won the state championship. And to continue 1967, I got Coach of the Year award from high school. And then it's kind of an odd way to say it, but God must have a hand in that too. Because all I know, in '67, Detroit had riots. They had tanks running up and down 12th Street and all that. And they had a big riot in 1967. And I got hired in 1968. Because I think everybody knew that people in Detroit still had matches. So and they headed this way, Ann Arbor, Michigan State, and so Biggie Munn called me. So right then, I don't know about the best, but the hottest thing going right then. So he called me up here, and I didn't really believe it at first. Biggie Munn, a legend, called me in Ecorse, but I came up here. And then when I came up here, I bought, at then, my fiancée, which was Martha, and I wasn't married then, and we sit in the office, and when we talked to her, I introduced Martha to Biggie, and then we sent Martha out the room, and Biggie and I sit down and discuss. And he looked at me and he says, Jim, it's a nice lady, marry her. And who am I to disobey Biggie? And so 41 years later, we still together. My wife, Martha. And along with Martha, I have a host of kids, grandkids, great-grandkids here today, so I would like for all of them to just stand for a minute. Those that can't stand, let somebody hold you. Is my brother here?
They're back there.
Okay. Okay, my brother, I want you stand too and be recognized. Among the many people I got to think, first I got to start by thinking high school coaches. Kyle Krieger was Herb Washington's coach in high school. Herb was very well prepared when he got here. And that made my job easy. All I do is keep it going between Herb's mother and his high school coach. They, and I like to think I had a little piece of it, while Herb owns about 30 McDonald's now. So I want to really think Kyle Krieger. Marshall Dill, I have to think Woody Thomas. Because I know Woody Thomas almost sent Marshall to me. Because they had him out there in Southern Cal trying to recruit him and sending movie actresses there and talking to him and everything. And I think Woody pretty much challenged him. So I got to thank Woody, and Woody is no longer with us right now, but I certainly have to thank him because that provided a big part of my success. Like I said, I got here in '68, Herb got here in '68, and the rest is history. And then Marshall come along in '72, and by that time people started thinking I was a pretty good coach. And I certainly want to thank all the parents of all my many athletes and the athletes themselves. I want to thank them. And certainly I want to thank the committee who thought that I was worthy to be on the stage with people like Ed Buddy, Garvey. I tell you, I looked up to Garvey when I first come because my first love was baseball. And at that time, Garvey was one of the best baseball players in the entire country. He was an all-star baseball player. And coming from Michigan State on top of that, you know how and it showed you the kind of guy he was. When he made the all-star team in baseball, he came to my class one day. And, you know, you think that being a superstar, he'd just walk in. He stood by the door, motioned to me. I walked there, and he quietly asked me, could he speak to someone in my class? And that's what polite guy he was, because at that time, he was all world. And so I had a lot of respect for him starting right then, you know. And then, of course, as I told you already about Ron Mason and many of these other people there, Julius McCoy was long before my time, but when I hit campus, they told me this boy was bad. They said he could shoot the lights out. And he's from Philadelphia, now he's back in Harrisburg, was back in Harrisburg, and his lovely family is here now, but he certainly made an impact here. So I have many, many people, I'm standing on many, many shoulders here. And so I am humble and grateful to be here. And I love Michigan State. And now it looks like Michigan State loved me. So with that, I'll just about sit down and get out the way and let these other fine people come in and do their thing. And another ironic thing, I gotta mention this. The young lady up here who would represent Dr. Nell Jackson, her father and me basically grew up together. We was in college together from our freshman year. He came from River Ridge, which is right next door to Ecorse, and so we knew one another before then and all that time. And then she come along, he sent her to me, and she made me great for another 3 years. So I got to recognize Shell Gilliam also. Okay, thank you, and goodbye. And all I can say is, I'm not getting ready to leave, though. But I'm like the guy in church. The pastor said, "How many people here want to go to heaven?" And everybody raised their hand and said, "John." And he looked over there and said, "John, you don't want to go to heaven when you die?" He said, "Oh, when I die." he said, "I thought you was trying to get a boatload for the night." That's it.